So we covered fear of change, the fear of failure, and the fear of rejection. Now, the last fear I want to talk about is maybe the fear that is underneath all of those fears, which is the fear of not being in control, the fear of being powerless. And that fear hits most of us at given times, and certainly during COVID, so many people have felt that. And I felt it just a few days ago when my beloved co-worker and best friend with four legs, my kitty Kara, started to go downhill. And you may have seen her on the show sometimes, or at least heard her when she was meowing and urgently needed to be let out as if the house was burning. Or sometimes she even video bombed the show. And she was a beautiful friend who was with us for 13 years and was diagnosed with some rare sort of form of cancer a year and a half ago. And she was holding on to life and to us and gave so much joy. And but when you are seeing a beautiful beloved animal going down and not eating anymore and starting to vomit more often, and you feel powerless and you want to do something about it, and you are afraid of losing her and losing control. And for me, it I have unfortunately had to go through this several times, but the first time I went through this, I certainly went through with another kitty uh, a lot of action taking. You go from one doctor to the next, you look for whatever treatment is possible, you maybe even torture the poor animals sometimes because you think it's in their best interest. Now, with Kara, I felt powerless, but I accepted it. It didn't scare me. And I also trusted in her journey, and that somehow she knew when it was time for her to follow her little sister who just passed away 3 months ago with another form of cancer. So there's something about this powerlessness that is really tricky for us because we all like to be in control, right? I mean, we all have this feeling of, nervousness when we do feel someone else has control, whether it's with driving or just in general in life. Giving it over to someone takes a lot. Now, the fear of losing control or being powerless, unfortunately, has really very, sometimes negative and destructive forms. Can be the vigilance, where you're never resting, where you are always looking over your shoulders, and even at night, rethinking about all the things that need to be done or that you should have done differently. It can be that you try to control the people around you and don't let them be themselves, become maybe angry or dominant. It can be that you are not really allowing yourself to be yourself and you are way more uptight and way more rigid than you actually want to be. So, how do we overcome this fear of control or of being out of control and being powerless? For me, since I have been known in the past of being a control freak, for me, the deeper fear underneath was that I couldn't trust. I couldn't trust the people around me that had to do with my parents. I couldn't trust a higher power because I felt like, well, probably there will be only some kind of horrific test that is testing my faith, and then what? And I didn't really trust myself. I didn't really know or believe that I was good enough. And so I just really felt the only way to be safe is to keep on control and be vigilant. And that was extremely draining and exhausting. So to let go of that fear, I had to really dig into trust, learning to trust in this basically a trifecta of sources that I believe are trustworthy. This is my inner my inner resources, my inner strengths, those things that I have learned to really rely on over the years that I know that I just sometimes haven't really paid attention enough or maybe appreciated enough. So I needed to really look back again and realizing what is that, what I know about myself that I can trust. And then I needed to revisit my spirituality and really learn to have a different relationship to life, to God, to the universe, whatever you want to call it, and just see more how good things happened in my life all the time, and how so many things that I felt would go wrong didn't go wrong, and really have taken time for an inventory to see the happenstance and the positive synergies that got me on the right path in life. Things that I couldn't really control, that I couldn't take responsibility for, but they happened in it anyhow. And sometimes these were also inspirations, little voices out of the blue that just told me to do something, and then it was exactly the right thing. And then the third trust was the trust in others. And just really knowing I don't have to trust everybody. And I don't have to trust anyone for everything, but I can trust certain things for certain people where I just knew that's where I know I can let go and let their expertise just take control. That's why I know that their intentions are good and I know that I'm in good hands. So all of this was a process that then eventually made me not have this fear of losing control anymore, but instead really having more love for life in general. And that is for me, love antidote to that fear that we are not seeing life as this, rigid structure that we think we have to have the blueprint for, and we have to create it exactly the way we have been planning it. And if not, we're not only feeling like failures, we're also feeling like, that's the end of it because we are powerless. But seeing life more like a flow, a stream that we are in, and that takes certain turns, and we have to be flexible in those turns, and we have to be open and at times also resilient when things are not exactly how we planned it. But as I said before, those failures or those things that are not our preferences usually help us to grow and become the person that we are meant to be and that we hope to be for others. Because in the end, how many will benefit from our growth? How much can we teach others about life because of that, what we have experienced? My point is that in the end, when we are embracing ourselves and we are embracing life as a wholeness and not trying to squeeze it into a certain form, thinking this is how it needs to be, we are way more open to let life be what it is really supposed to be. Not what we thought it to be, but what it's supposed to be. And we may find ourselves in very unexpected places. I remember that 30 years ago, 30 years ago, the mother of my girlfriend at that time, who was a little psychic, she told me, I know you're in medical school, but you will not do that for the rest of your life. And I was, of course, up in arms and said, no way, I'm working so hard. I'm going to be a doctor until I retire. And well, she was right. Unexpected turns. And I'm really grateful for those turns that got me from Germany to UK, from the UK to the US, from the US to France, all unexpected, but all somehow life had its way and I needed to be flexible. Because in the end, we're really never powerless. We are never really out of control because it's always in our control to give those things that happen the meaning that we choose to. We can see change as opportunity to grow. We can see failure as opportunity to learn. We can see rejection as opportunity to love ourselves more and have more compassion for others. And we can see that need to control as an opportunity to let go and trust more and just really know that, yeah, I can always change my attitude. I can always change the way I see things. I can always choose how I want to think, feel, and act in response to whatever happens. That is the control and the power that is always mine. And that is where we can always feel safe in. I hope this helped you to get a few ahas and new perspectives on fear and realize overall fear is not a dilemma or a shortcoming or a flaw or a disorder. It is simply a human opportunity, a condition inside of us that always nudges us further on to really make the choices to be our most empowered and fulfilled self. Until in 2 weeks for the last show. And then please join me at these future shows starting in April. Get real with Dr. Friedemann. Until then, goodbye. Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.